Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It means it's time for AEW Dynamite tonight. It's an exciting episode, and recently I've been complaining a bit about the stories going into episodes of AEW Dynamite. Well, this week, I don't have to worry about that because there's a story in pretty much every single match. So, I'm very much looking forward to talking about it. Of course, the big elephant in the room, the breaking news in the wrestling world right now is Scott D'Amore has left TNA Wrestling. We don't really know why. They've brought in the They brought in the Anthem president of entertainment to take over from him, and they've said publicly that they want to, increase the resources between both departments so that TNA can continue to improve. Whether that's the real reason or whether there's something more to it remains to be seen, and we're just gonna have to wait and find out. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about All Elite Wrestling. And let me firstly introduce the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. Clark, how are you?
What's going on? You know, it's Wednesday, and I definitely know what that means. So I'm always stoked to talk about some AEW. It's exciting. Happy to be here as always. Had a blast yesterday. 2 shows down. 2 shows yesterday, 2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. This is delightful. I'm on a nice run here. Feels like I never left the microphone. I've actually maybe been standing here the whole time since we went off the air last night.
You've just been standing still ever since.
Just waiting.
Well, before we go and talk about anything else, Clark, I have a question for you, right?
Yeah. Is it?
Do you
are
know
you ready?
it?
I'm kidding.
You've ruined the real. No, I'm doing it again, right? Pretend you guys didn't hear that.
Nobody
YouTube
heard
and
that.
Instagram listeners. Nobody heard that. Do you know it or do you not? John Cena edition. You have 45 seconds starting now. What year did John Cena make his WWE debut?
2003. 4.
Wrong. 2002. How many times has he won the WWE title?
15 times.
Wrong. 16. What year did he win the Money in the Bank?
That would be 2011.
Wrong. 2012. When did he first face
missed
The
by
Rock?
1 on all of them. That's actually impressive. When did he first face The Rock? Is that WrestleMania 28?
Correct. How many times has he won the Royal Rumble?
Twice.
What year did he win his first Royal Rumble?
2005.
Wrong. 2008. And that is your time up, Clark.
Oh, well, wait. He tied with Batista. Does that one count? That's what I was thinking in 05.
No, that doesn't count.
But
That
their
doesn't
feet hit at
count.
the same time.
But it doesn't count because he didn't win the match, did he?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, he did beat JBL at that Mania.
You completely and utterly screwed yourself too.
I missed by 1 on the first 3.
Yeah, but you started talking when I was asking the next question. It's a speed game.
Yeah, but I got that one correct.
At least you got 2 right this time. It's an improvement to last time.
I got that one right though. I got the one I talked during right.
Well,
They
yeah,
said
you
the same
did,
thing
but
about me in golf.
You
I would,
slowed
like,
yourself
talk all the
down.
way
You
up
could have got it
until
quicker.
I would talk
Coulda
all
got
the way
it
up until I
quicker.
hit, and they're like, "Yeah, if you shut up, maybe you'll hit it better." And then I still was good.
Oh, let's see what the comments are
Talking
saying.
helps.
Numero 1 Superfly saying hello. Bobby Petito saying he enjoyed watching the NXT post show yesterday on his birthday.
blast.
Again, happy birthday, Bobby. And we got some comments on Instagram about what we're talking about later on. But later on, we'll be talking with the rest of our panel. And let's kick that later on off right now and introduce Shad. Shad, how are you?
Throw them 2s up,
Twos
man.
up.
I'm here on a Wednesday. Top rope, catch a vibe. I swerve when I drive. I'm good, man. I'm ready to talk about Dynamite. I'm usually here to give y'all what I thought about Dynamite, but I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen about Dynamite today.
Absolutely. And it's an exciting one to preview before, of course, tomorrow, you guys talking about it. We've also got, last but certainly not least, Soul. Soul, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Just to know that I'm still the number one at the Did You Not? So,
You are.
champ,
He is
like my spinner belt says, champ. But besides that, another
literally
great
ranked.
episode tonight. I'm excited. We've got many great matches, and obviously, Mr. Tony Khan himself has got his big announcement, which I'm very, very, very interested to speculate on what will be. But let's get into the matches, shall we?
Absolutely. We're not going to speculate too much on the announcement today, very simply because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So we're not going to thing it, but all of us here are pretty much aware because it's been spoiled online, and not by a dirt sheet this time. It's actually their own fault, seemingly, what's been spoiled. But anyway, we'll certainly talk about other things. We got JHat0319 in the comments saying, what's up to you? Well, and let's now jump straight in to our first topic. And our first topic here today is, well, it's about these tag team championships, isn't it? Because Sting, we know he's retiring in just a couple of months' time now, next month, in fact, at AEW Revolution. But will he win one more championship before then? Tonight, we find out as he teams up with Darby Allin to take on the AEW Tag Team Champions, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, for the Tag Team Championships. And I'm really excited for this one. I am. Anytime I get to see Ricky Starks in the ring, I'm excited, truthfully. And listen, we're not going to see Sting in the ring many more times now before he retires. So I'm just enjoying every single moment of it until he does, hang up his boots. But I will say this. I'm going to be disappointed tonight if Ricky Starks and Big Bill do drop those titles, because they have been a fantastic tag team while they've been together. They've been underrated, and very rarely can you call a champion underrated, but that's what they have been. They've been significantly underrated by fans. They've not been given as much TV time compared to, tag champions of past. But tonight, hopefully, this will be a good match. But unfortunately, I do think they are losing, because I do think Sting is winning one more title before he does retire. Clark, what's your thoughts on this one?
I actually really love the booking because I'm torn on it. I didn't expect to be either. I mean, Big Bill and Ricky Starks have had a longer run than I think any of us anticipated with these titles. And there's something to that. I think it's great. I think we all kind of believe that this Young Bucks match is possible for Sting's final match, and that would make sense to put the titles on Sting and Darby. We've talked about how great the AEW division was during the formation period of the company, where it was the most loaded division maybe of any tag division we've seen in a long time. To your point, TV time wise, doesn't feel like it's been treated as such. Giving the Sting rub back to the titles and maybe having Starks and Big Bill figure out where they're going to go separately or together from there isn't the worst thing. And the Young Bucks carrying the tag titles to kind of reinvigorate that division that once was isn't the worst idea. But I will not be stunned if Big Bill and Ricky Starks retain tonight. I actually won't. I think it's totally possible. And I think there's also a way the Young Bucks can wrestle Sting and Darby, if that's really the direction we want to go for the final match, without the titles anyway. So it wouldn't be the end of the world to me if we do see Big Bill and Ricky Starks go over. And that's what I kind of like about this booking, is as much as you're looking in the future, it's not a for sure. And I don't think it ever has been a for sure that Darby and Sting go over in this one, because injury risk, all that is still there, especially with both Sting and Darby. And to pull the trigger this early on the title change, if it doesn't work out and the match doesn't happen, that's the most disappointing. That's worst case scenario. And so to protect from that, you can still have the rivalry, still make it relevant, have this one go to the brink, and Bill and Ricky somehow retain. I would not be stunned if that's the route that they go. But my gut tells me it is Sting and Darby going over in this one, and Sting pinfall, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, clean. I don't know which competitor it's on, Big Bill or Ricky. Probably Ricky. Scorpion Death Drop would be my guess. But either way, just it is still Sting. Not a lot of people kick out of the Scorpion Death Drop. I feel like that's fair enough. If you're gonna do it that way, I'd rather it be Sting getting the pin than Darby, because we know we can count on our hands how many Sting matches are left. So it doesn't necessarily leave us in a place where 6 months down the road we go, remember when Darby pinned, right?
That's true. It's true.
So Sting, if we do go the route where Sting and Darby win the titles, it's got to be Sting with the pin. But I would not be stunned if it goes the other way. I truly wouldn't.
I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I know what you're saying about, obviously, Sting and Darby maybe don't want to do another match before Revolution, but they don't have to. That's the thing as well. Like, it's only like a month away now, the pay-per-view. They don't really need to defend it before then. They could just, just go straight into that championship match with the Young Bucks and the build for that. In fact, I kind of would hope that that's what they do to be a
that
bit more
has to be
there.
the route. And then backstage segments we have to see between Sting and Darby. If that is the route we go, I totally agree, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still just feeling a bit, I don't know how I'd feel about in the final match, Sting's final match, the tag team championships on the line against the Young Bucks. I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't, because, I mean, you're surely having Sting and Darby drop the titles, and if Sting's losing his final match, I'd prefer it to just be against Darby Allin one-on-one. So then the only other argument is maybe Sting and Darby win, and Sting retires with them. But then, if that's the case, then the tag team titles are going to look a bit rubbish, aren't they?
I think Sting goes out on his back, for sure. I think Sting's that type of wrestler.
Why not Darby? Why not Darby, though? It must be he doesn't want to work a singles match.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it could be either or. That Darby would have to bump so hard for that one. That's a difficult task to ask about a guy that's already so aggressive physically. I don't know if that doesn't actually disappoint as much as on paper Darby Sting one-on-one is excellent.
True. Although I don't think Darby's got any issue with bumping, to be fair. He likes
he has none.
Very weird and crazy dumps. That's not what I meant to say. Bumps. I mean, then again, he was on a weird TV show back in the day, wasn't he? But what do you think about it, Shad? How are you feeling about it? Do you reckon there will be new tag team champions tonight?
I do believe that we are going to have new tag teams. I do believe, man, I am so sorry. I believe we're going to have new tag team champions today. I think the moment in time to allow Sting to hold gold on AEW is something that is very important, and especially it being with Darby Allin. I don't think you can escape the moment of that, and just the notoriety of who Sting is, what we have left of Sting, it overpowers the current tag team champions. I love Ricky Starks, to your point. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I think Big Bill is great, but what is so notable is them as tag team champs right now. How dominant of tag team champs they are. What has the tag title been for AEW? It hasn't felt special with them, so I feel like it is an opportunity for them to take the loss. I got Sting and Darby winning tonight. The only other thing I could possibly see is the Young Bucks interfering and helping Big Bill and Ricky retain. But I don't want that to happen. I want Sting and Darby to win today. And I want that last match to be for the tag title. And to Clark's point, I want Sting to pass the torch to the Young Bucks, and I want him to take the pin and lose his last match versus the Young Bucks. I think it's a, good hats off to you. I've done what I've done in this profession. I've been the guy for the longest time. Now, let me pass the baton and let the new wave of future legends take over. I think that's what the call is going to be. We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the interference, but I don't think you could take away that moment of Sting winning gold on AEW one last time before he's completely done with wrestling.
Yeah, no, I do see that perspective, absolutely. At the end of the day, the Young Bucks are one of the best tag teams in the industry, and for them to get that, rub off Sting, that would be huge, and I can totally see them just coming out after this match, after they win the titles,
and they're gonna bring and I feel like they're gonna bring the tag title a little bit back to life. The AEW tag division has been a little lifeless. The Young Bucks are one of the best tag teams of all time. I feel like
Yeah.
giving it back to them brings a new energy back to it. There's more tag teams now, so we'll wait and see.
Absolutely. And yeah, I can see tonight the Young Bucks just coming out afterwards and saying, hey, well done, you're the new tag team champions, and we know there's a ranking system in place now, but we're EVPs. We don't care about that. We've got you next. I can see them doing that. It would make sense
that's
with their
fun.
character. Absolutely. We've got quite a few comments here. We got Coach 23 saying they could retain the titles via a cop-out finish with the Bucks attacking both teams. Yeah, that would make sense. Jay Hats is saying, are Sting and Darby there to put Ricky Starks and Big Bill over with the Sting rub? Or the Young Bucks make Sting and Darby lose? I mean, perhaps so, but yeah, I do think tonight we got new AEW Tag Team Champions, and it's a good point from Coach 23 here. If Sting versus Darby was to happen, who would be the antagonist? That's a great point as well. Retirement matches, I mean, you guys know me, I'm all about story, but in retirement matches, I don't care about that as much. But hey,
I don't
I'm
necessarily
excited
agree
still.
with that.
Oh,
I
fair
think you
Fair
can
enough.
do a match of respect, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, you absolutely, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I don't just mean throw it together on a random episode of Dynamite or something like that. But I don't think it needs to be heel versus face. I think it can be face versus face if it makes sense to. But last but certainly not least, Sol, what's your take on this? Do you think we'll be having new tag team champions tonight?
Just quickly on your point there of story of retirement matches, look at Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania. There was a great story there. And then he never wrestled again. Ric Flair ended his career there and nothing else happened. That's fine by me. But
let's pretend that was the case.
So here's what I'll say. I absolutely believe Sting and Darby are going to walk out of tonight's Dynamite with the tag titles around their waist. AEW on TV said on their Instagram page it is 13,100 days since Sting's first title match on TBS to his current one now. That's history right there. So here's what I say. They win it, no interference, nothing from the Young Bucks. It's just a match, normal match put on. Sting pin. I would have Sting pin Starks. Have Sting pin Starks, and there's a little background shot of the Bucks in their EVP office just watching the match. Now, I do agree as well with having the Bucks use their EVP status to get up the rankings and have an immediate title shot. I'd be fine with that. It works well with the characters they're going for. At Revolution, though, I would have Sting and Darby either. I wouldn't mind them losing, honestly. Like, if Sting and Darby were to lose the titles to the Young Bucks, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I've always said Sting should go undefeated in AEW until his last match where he gets the one loss and, goes out on his back and does the very proper thing within this business that happens and, from day to day. With the history of this business, you just see people going out on their backs and, being respectful. And that's fine by me. But if Sting and Darby were to retain, I could absolutely see the EVP status of the Young Bucks coming to effect with that. Have the Dynamite after, have a little segments, Darby Allin to address the current situation with the tag titles. And Schiavone could say, you're going to defend them just like yourself, what MJF did with the Ring of Honor, or are you going to find a partner like what he did? And then you would have the Young Bucks come out like, nah. We were the last ones for these titles and you don't have a partner anymore. So they could either do a 2-on-1 handicap match where the Bucks win, or the Bucks could strip Darby of the titles and put it in a good old tournament, baby. Oh, yes. We love a good old tournament here in AEW. So, yeah, I could actually see that happening. I would have no problem. I honestly think this whole Sting match for the tag titles will go perfectly well. I think this will be a great match, a great wee set of stories. I ain't complaining.
Didn't realize we had Vince Russo on the podcast today. Losing and then taking them in a handicap match the next night. Come on. I do agree, though. It won't hurt, Sting at all if he loses in his final match. I agree that should be the route they go. But not a handicap match.
You mean Vince Russo?
Oh! That's a new one.
Bro, that's not happening, bro. That's not happening, bro.
To your point earlier, though, I agree. Shawn Michaels went out on his back against Undertaker too, and then obviously never returned. Also,
no, never. At
least not that I remember.
He technically did go out on his back in a match with the Undertaker. In actuality, too, but that was because he was gassed. Anyway, let's now move on to talk about this six-man, I think it's a six-man, it is a six-man tag team match tonight, and they have built this up right. I'm not sure how I feel about the story. In fact, no. I am sure about how I feel about the story. I think the story's been good. What I'm not sure about is why they're showcasing other promotions' talent when they've, don't have enough room and time to showcase all of their own, when that promotion isn't necessarily going to give them the spotlight that they need, even in Mexico. But anyway, Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli, the BCC will be taking on CMLL's Mystico, Volador Jr., and Hechicero in a 6-man tag team match. And I think this is going to be a really fun match. I'm excited for it. There's a good level of story there they've told over the last week and a half. But hopefully this is just the end of this story now. Hopefully it's just a 2-week thing. And if so, I take back all my complaints. That's fine. If they continue dragging it out, then yeah, I'd focus that TV time on some actual AEW talent. But Clark, what's your thoughts?
I am very excited about this one, to be honest. I actually love the CMLL crossover here. I mean, we got Mystico, formerly Sin Cara. This is a fun match in general. It's basically like if you went to Vegas, though, and they had the UFC and Cirque du Soleil on the same stage against each other. Styles make fights. I'm the resident fight fan here when it comes to mixed martial arts and whatnot. You got the speed and athleticism on one side and the brute force on the other. I think we're going to see some nasty bumps. I think this match is going to be remarkably exciting, and it's going to sneak up on people. We're going to see the cleverness of Bryan Danielson in the ring with a different style of talent, a different style of professional wrestling than we're totally used to, and I'm excited for this match. I do, however, Ben, completely agree that this needs to be the finish of the story. And I'm not necessarily for the same reason, but this doesn't need to be a long, drawn-out feud. This was CMLL invaded. The BCC and them had some beef, and now we're paying it off. Let's pay it off tonight in an absolute slugfest, maybe a bloodbath. It is AEW, and it is Jon Moxley. So I'm sure we'll see some red, some color out there, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the match. I really am. I'm probably more excited than you are, but at the same time, I do agree.
No, I am excited.
I do agree that it needs to be no, I know you're excited. I just meant like if we were like thermometers, mine's like a little higher. I'm just in general, I think this needs to be the payoff, but I do think it will be an excellent match.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. It's just like, I don't know how this really helps AEW at all. But if it's just a 2-week thing, actually, I don't have an issue with it. Because it's a fun bit of TV, whatever. But, I mean, Coach 23 says it's AEW. That's why. Bobby Petito suggests a Forbidden Door type thing. And Numero 1 Superfly says BCC wins and the storyline ends. Although I'm not sure what they do after. I know what they'll do after. They'll feud with Eddie Kingston again because that's all this faction does. But, I mean, it's true. But let's now move on.
Eventually it's going to be like Eddie feels left out and just like wishes he was in it. They'll tell that story. He's like, I think that's what Comeback Club. I should have been in this.
They've done it so many times now. It's almost like that's the way you think it'd be going. But let's now talk about Chris Jericho and Takeshita, talking about feuds which have dragged on too long. This feud, I mean, like, come on now. This has just been going on for ages. And I'm all for long-term storytelling, but like I said before, long-term storytelling needs to be interesting throughout. It needs to have major moments throughout. And AEW fans have quite publicly voiced their, boredom of this storyline and wish that both sides just move on and go on to do other things. But they're keeping it dragged out. They're doing Jericho versus Takeshita on Dynamite tonight. I mean, I've just had enough of it, to be honest. So, what's your thoughts?
I'm fine with that. I got no problems with it. I always like seeing Jericho on TV. I always like seeing Takeshita on TV. They're two great talents.
So do I.
I think just people like to moan for the sake of moaning,
Like Don Callis and Jericho. Always on together for like a year now. Over a year, actually.
Yeah, and they're great. They're entertaining. They are entertaining, and Jericho's a top guy, and he's a big individual within the wrestling business. I see no problem with it. What I could see happening with this match tonight as well to build to Revolution is a particular thing. I could see either two things happening, and they all include one man. Mr. Billy Goat Will Ospreay. I think we could see Ospreay coming out tonight, or Jericho then beats Takeshita and next week teases something to help fight with the Don Callis family. We could then see at Revolution a 6-man, Jericho, Guevara, Ospreay versus Powerhouse Hobbs, Kyle Fletcher, and Takeshita with Don Callis on commentary, because Callis is always great on commentary. And I think the story you can tell with that is, Jericho and Guevara will beat the Don Callis family at Revolution, and that's their part over. Then the next story starts with Ospreay trying to convince Fletcher to come back to United Empire to, build up those guys. And, it's basically like, I'm trying to bring you back. His old exes, Don Callis family, like, no, we want him to be with us. They feud, they beat the Don Callis family. Hobbs and Takeshita maybe turn on Callis and go their own separate ways as single stars. We get United Empire and Ospreay trios. They can then maybe feud with Bullet Club Gold over the the unified trios titles. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I think this could go really fun.
I actually don't hate that idea. I really actually don't. In fact, I think that one is a good idea. But yeah, it's just the fact of, like, we cannot sit here and be like, oh, it's fine that they've dragged out this Don Callis Shoko stuff this much, when their own fan base have been moaning about it for, the AEW hardcore have been moaning about it for a few months now. And when you're dragging out a feud that long and your own fans complaining about it, you need to listen. And the fact is, they have not listened to in this story. But if they finish it like that, right, if they just now, they count their losses, they're like, let's finish it like this, move into the direction you said with Ospreay, I'll really like that. I think that's a strong storyline for sure. But now, let's move on, and let's move on to talk. Let me bring you in, Shad. Let's move on to talk about the Women's World Title Eliminator match, because I do have some things to say here. So far, I have praised this storyline between Toni Storm and Deonna Purrazzo so much. It's made so much sense, and they're finally building something, and for that, I praise them. This women's division hasn't had many long-term storylines, but this is one of them, and I'm certainly excited for the match when it happens. But I was not happy when this was announced. I was not happy at all. It's so blatant. You're building up to Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna is number 1 or 2 in the rankings, whatever it is. She's number 1 contender, right? So why is Red Velvet getting a world title eliminator match against the champion with her on commentary? What, is she just skipping the line? I know it's not a title match, it's an eliminator match, but it still makes no sense. I don't like it. Shad, what's your thoughts?
I don't like eliminator matches either. WWE used to run these through the ground before they moved to Hunter on the creative. Vince was running these through the ground in the pandemic era, or a little bit after the pandemic era, that 2021, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I would rather two other competitors have an opportunity to go against each other for a number one competitor spot for the title. I mean, if you're fighting the champ and you beat the champ, then you should arguably be the champ, right? Like
Yeah,
it
you
doesn't
should.
it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Um, I spoke about it a couple weeks ago. I have a sense of frustration on how we have Red Velvet in this women's division, man. I feel like we fell from grace on how dominant, like, of a character she was in this women's division. You had her in that tag match with Jade Cargill, Cody Rhodes, and Shaquille O'Neal. You had her in a prominent role with the baddies. I really thought, storyline purposes, she should have been the person to be built up, got revenge on Jade, and been the potential TBS champion. And now she's more or less, a jobber. Like, she's taking L's to people. I know she took a win a couple, I think last week on Rampage, or I believe so, right? So I guess she's got a win under her belt, but she's
Yeah, she
losing the
does.
match. Yeah, she's losing the matches that kind of do matter in these situations, and it's more or less just getting Tony some reps and building the commentary aspect between Deonna and Tony Storm. Now, in regards to their storyline, I think it is a phenomenal job. I think these two are doing a good job with this build. I think by the time we get to Revolution, this is going to be a match that fans are going to be super excited for if they're not excited for right now. Um, I mean, Tony Storm, man, what can I say? We say it every single week. Character work, A plus plus, perfect, right? She's hitting the honor
Yeah.
roll with her character, and she's also very good in the ring. And Deonna, I like be the string of matches she's been building up, and especially with the ranking system, like, these are a good way to kind of call your shot to potentially be a viable threat. So I wouldn't have been mad if Deanna would have fought somebody else just to string more wins and make her case a little bit better. But I guess Tony needs a tune-up, which I'm not mad at. I just don't like seeing my girl Red Velvet take L after L after L. Let's do better than
In
that.
fairness, she's taken dub after dub after dub at the minute. Like, she is like number, I think, 2 or 3 in the rankings. But that's the thing.
Who-
Instead of giving,
We
pardon,
have an alphabet off.
I'm not. Maybe I don't watch. I don't really watch Rampage, so I apologize on that. That's my.
That one's
I mean,
on
that's
you.
the thing about it. They built her up, right, for this shot. But she just skipped the line over Deonna. And what you should have done, you should have done Deonna first, and then you should have done Red Velvet after, and given Red Velvet, the proper showing for all her work being built up the rankings.
I also don't like the idea of having a potential title opponent before you have an already set title match, because we know what the outcome is going to be. I don't even think Toni Storm needs to really wrestle until she got to have a match at the pay-per-view. I feel like the novelty of her is just the outlandish character on the outskirts of it and whatnot. And we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, we
She's gonna
will.
win. I know that's gonna happen, but
oh yeah, not even point worth predicting that one. But Coach 23 saying she's the Dijak of the AEW women's division.
We was talking about him a lot last night.
We
too,
had a
in
big
that same
Dijak
manner.
combo.
If
That
I'm
actually
not-
does add up if you watched off the air last night.
Yeah,
I
Coach
did
23
not
was
watch it. I should. I need to go back and watch it now so I understand that comment. But
Basically, what I just said right now is what I said about Dijak last
Yeah,
night.
we kind of
Oh,
both did. It was hilarious.
Good call, 23.
Bobby Petito thinks they should have done Red Velvet versus Mariah May instead. I absolutely agree.
I would love
Then
that match.
before or after that match, because Mariah May and Toni Storm are linked, then you could have built the Deonna and Toni Storm thing. But anyway, Jericho Callis is not really interesting. Coach 20 agrees with me there. But yeah, we're gonna have to just wait and see where this
Jericho
goes.
is just not interesting in general, but
Whoa.
I like Fozzy. I listen to Fozzy all the time.
The
Really
cruise looked
nice.
fun.
I mean, I don't think many people
I like Don
like
Callis, though.
Fozzy. So
I like Don Callis.
You'd
Actually,
be
a lot.
surprised. The Scottish people are tuning out for the Fozzy concert in Glasgow in a couple of days. So we'll be
yeah,
there.
but there's insane people everywhere. So
This
let's-
is why
Say,
Jay-Z is
"How dare
complaining
you."
at the Grammys, guys.
What's
Well,
on the
it comes-
Grammys is
Did he
overrated.
drink out of the Grammy though? That
Yes,
was
and
pretty
so is Chris
impressive.
Jericho. So let's go to the next.
Oh, let's just move on, should we? Yeah, let's talk about tonight's big main event. It's the blow-off match between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. And this entire feud, their entire feud, the word I've used to describe it, and yes, I know it's overused, but I have used the word cinema to describe it because I thought that's what their feud has been thus far. They've been building it so well. But tonight, if this really is the end of the feud, I'll be fuming. It is absolutely disgraceful if tonight is the night their feud ends on a random episode in Dynamite in a match with no real stipulation. It would be just awful, right? But I don't think they're doing that. I really don't. I do trust AEW with this type of thing, and I believe that tonight Samoa Joe's going to either get involved or there'll be a double finish or something like that. And it's going to lead to a triple threat at Revolution between the three, and then Hangman and Swerve will finish it off, hopefully for the title, at a later date, 1-on-1. But for now, I'm hoping and I'm praying for that triple threat match because that would be a banger, and also it would mean their feud wouldn't randomly end on a random episode of AEW Dynamite. But what do you think, Shad?
I agree 100% with what you said. I think we have to find a way to get this to be a triple threat match because I think both of these guys deserve. You need to move heaven to earth to get them in a championship match at Revolution. This is one of the best feuds in professional wrestling going on right now. This is one of the best rivalries that I've seen in a long time, especially on AEW. The just pure hatred that they have towards each other, the realism, the aggression, just it's on sight at any time I see you mentality that these guys have. The blood, like these guys have really gone through hell and back to face each other, and it will make you want to watch it 100 times if you can. Like, if the quality of promo work and matches are always this good, as a fan, my eyes are going to be glued to it. I'm not going to get bored of it. And it's crazy because we spoke about these guys initially in that first promo that they had on a review show a few months ago. It still feels so exciting and fresh to now. And I think we're going to get a hard-hitting bloodbath. I think we'll definitely see some blood being shed between these guys. And I think we'll find a way, like you said, whether it's with the Samoa Joe probably leading it into a triple threat match at Revolution, because Hangman, I think Swerve is the more premier name and talent at the moment, not saying overall, because I think Hangman historically is one of the best in AEW history. But Hangman deserves the opportunity, and Hangman is a person, unfortunately, could take the pin in that Revolution match, whether it's to Samoa Joe or Swerve. I think Samoa Joe's title reign will continue, but I'm leaning towards it being led to a triple threat match, and I think it's going to be a wonderful segment. It may be probably the best thing on television this week. So,
I hope you are right, and I certainly think that is a possibility. We got Kyle Dalrymple, 28 on Instagram. We're saying, whose house? Swerve's house. So he's clearly rooting for Swerve tomorrow.
You know who I'm rooting for, Kyle.
Sorry, tonight. It is tonight.
Baby.
Mogul Embassy, indeed. And Coach 23 says the chemistry between Swerve and Hangman reminds him of Styles and Daniels back in the day in TNA. That is a great shout. And, triple threat with Joe. I mean, that's linking them all together again. Can we see another 5-star classic? Yes, please. So what do you think about this? Do you reckon me and Shad are wrong, or do you think it will be leading to a triple threat?
When I look at that AEW replica title, I get so many memories of when Hangman held it. It was a good time, and as well as Kenny as well. Those title reigns are probably some of my favorite in wrestling altogether. You're gonna hate me for that, but it's true. That's what I feel. I would love to see this become a triple threat. I don't know how I would feel with Joe dropping it already, because I feel like he still has a lot left to give. I would be perfectly fine if Joe pins Hangman to retain. Hangman goes down the ranking, and then at Double or Nothing, it's Joe versus Swerve 1-on-1. I would be fine with that. Then from that Double or Nothing win, if Swerve wins it, you could then have a story of Hangman, building up the ranks. And speaking of then, because obviously Forbidden Door will happen, give me Swerve versus Sanada for the AEW World Championship. I would like that very much. After that, then you could have Hangman maybe still climbing up, and then at All In have Swerve versus Ospreay, and then have something down the line. But I would love to see Hangman hold the title again, personally. I would really love to see it. But with this match altogether, I feel like this match will open the show, and I think Sting and Darby will close it. So have this match open up. Then it's like just a triple threat thing. How would you go around that? Could Joe interfere? Because you remember Double or Nothing 2021, the main event, well, not semi-main event of that for the title was Kenny, Pac, and Cassidy.
Yeah.
And that match came about because Kenny Omega interfered. So if they were to do that again with Joe, yeah, I'd be fine with that. Let that happen. And if it's to be like a double pin, I'd be fine with that. Or a draw, I'd be fine with that. I honestly do think, though, don't take it off Joe just yet. Get the Double or Nothing, and then let Swerve in a one-on-one moment take the title off Joe.
I wouldn't complain about that. That makes sense as well. And obviously then that's longer term, and we won't see Swerve and Hangman one-on-one for a little while as well. So I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. Swerve Sanada is a very random dream match out. I wouldn't I'd like to see it, but I don't know. I don't know if their chemistries would merge.
Would you expect me to say I want Swerve with the AEW World Championship to go against New Japan upcoming legend Jack Perry? Would you want me to say that? Do you want me to have him come out to Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, sure, go for that.
Oh, come on, let's do that.
Hiromu versus Swerve. That's what I'd like to see.
You put it in my mind. Tokyo Dome, main event, Jack Perry versus Swerve, Crimea River by your live performance by Justin Timberlake.
In the
please.
Tokyo Dome. Timberlake in the Tokyo Dome. I think Carty Carnett's going to be given that 7.75 stars.
No,
Last
18
but not-
stars. It's always 18 in the Tokyo Dome.
18.
18
Not
stars.
180?
118 is only if it's 2 out of 3 falls.
Oh, fair enough.
The extra
Reasonable.
100 is reserved
reasonable,
for 2 out of
Carter.
3.
Completely,
Makes perfect sense,
completely
Carty.
reasonable.
Yeah, I think it adds up in my mind.
Bobby Petito wants to see Swerve versus Gabe Kidd, and Coach 23 says Hangman Page is way more interesting every time he's chasing for that title. Well, what do you think, Clark?
I think we are going to end up with a triple threat, but we're also going to end up with Swerve winning tonight. I think we're getting both. And the story won't be over because Swerve's going to rob him. He's going to cheat. That's why there's no rules. There's no stipulations. There are rules on this one. And Swerve will break them. And that's how we're going to bridge the gap to get to the triple threat we're asking for. Now, my thoughts on the triple threat, as much as I love Soul's idea on getting us all the way to Double or Nothing for Swerve to finally win, I think Swerve robs everybody and wins again, given Swerve's character and carries the belt. And whoever comes out of that match looking like the most worthy first opponent, whether it's Hangman or Joe, we go with then. Whether Joe gets his rematch or Hangman gets his match, I'm not sure. That depends on the finish. I think you can play with some really fun, funky stuff. I loved the Christopher Daniels comparison as far as him and AJ Styles for this rivalry. It made perfect sense to me. What about a spot where maybe Joe's got him locked in and Hangman's out cold? Swerve goes for the Bret Hart finish, but actually his knees are over Hangman. You get the pin, and then Joe lets go of the hold and Swerve's out cold, but he's a new champ. I don't mind that. You have Joe as your next competitor, and then you leave Swerve for the summer.
I don't like
leave
it.
Swerve and Hangman for the summer, maybe. I don't hate it. I'm just spitballing here
You've
mostly.
just crowned a new champion while he's out cold.
I think that's kind of fun, though, because then it immediately leads to the Swerve.
Makes your champion look weak immediately.
Yeah,
you
but
want a
Jo-
crowning moment.
But Joe's staying a heel there, and Swerve getting cheered because of how over he is makes
You
sense,
just
and
said he
that's kind of a
should
way to
cheat.
get there. He's going to cheat to win tonight. I'm talking about at Revolution.
Is everybody in this call Vince Russo?
No.
There's more turns.
No.
Than...
You're thinking too hard there.
Okay, Big Show.
Swerve is over, and everyone knows it. He gets cheered. People do the dance. They like Prince Nana. And we're getting to that point where Swerve, outside of the Hangman rivalry, where he's a direct heel, doesn't come across that heelish. He's anti-hero-ish. And so, to me, when you put the belt on Swerve, because like you said, crowning moment for a heel, it'd be a reign of boos. People upset that he took the title off of Joe. Joe's the biggest heel in this triple threat, if that's the way we book it, at least in my eyes, and should be. Swerve in the middle, and then you have Hangman, the babyface. But if Swerve wins this, we're going to get a big cheer and a crowning moment. And I think that's key in booking beyond the title match itself. Even if he loses, he's closer to a babyface. If Joe retains in the scenario that Soul presented, if Joe retains by pinning or submitting Hangman Adam Page, Swerve is closer to a babyface because everybody wants that moment, as you described. That's what we're all looking for. And at that moment, it's closer to babyface than it is heel, at least in my eyes.
No, I agree with that. It's just like if he blatantly cheats today and then you do that finish, it doesn't make sense. And also, if they do that finish, the crowd will go to cheer because Swerve has won.
We still got a month.
They'll boo because the submission's still locked in and he's out. And then the crowd will be mixed. It'll be a really weird reaction and it won't work. I'm telling you, it's overbooked. Will not work in a large arena.
It could not work, but I don't know. When he comes to the celebration as they go off air, I don't know. There's a lot you can do with this, and I'd love to see something creative. Maybe not that. That is a bit extreme. I completely understand, but I'd love to see AEW get creative with this one.
Me too. I do agree with that. We got Bobby Petito saying Swerve Strickland might finish the story before Cody Rhodes.
Yes, Bobby.
Suck it, Cody.
Oh, Bobby, I do think you might be right. But on that note, guys, we're wrapping up the show. Thank you, Clark. Thank you, Soul. Thank you, Shad, for joining me here today. It's been a really fun one. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, for Throwback Thursday
Noon
and the
Hawaii.
Dynamite review. See you guys then. Enjoy Dynamite.